tuning in. Hi, I'm Kathryn from the Sewing Studio at Lady Lake in the Sewing Studio Fabric Superstore. Welcome on this Friday morning for 5 Minute Friday. Today we're going to talk about making your own custom straps. It's kind of hard when you have your own project and your own fabric and your own cork or vinyl or whatever it is that you're doing sometimes to find straps that match. I mean, they might get close, but they might not, and you don't want that. So an easy way to handle it is today's topic of the day. Customized straps. Okay, so a couple of things that are going to make your life a little bit easier as you approach this project. First of all, if you've got Wonder Clips are totally the way to go. They're going to hold things together briefly for you. They kind of act as a third arm so that you can have your hands free to do whatever you need to do. So these are a good idea if you can get those nearby. The second thing I want to talk about is wash away Wonder Tape. This stuff is awesome for any number of reasons. You can use it to put on zipper tape so that it will stick in place briefly while you do that. Or this again is going to be a very helpful thing on this particular project where it's going to hold down some fabric temporarily for you until you can get your stitching in place. So wash away Wonder Tape and Wonder Clips. It's all about the wonder today, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so those are the two things I just wanted to talk about briefly. And then I'm going to go on and jump right into the project, okay? All right, so when we are going about making your own straps, you're going to want to cut your fabric 3 times as wide as your webbing. Okay, it's a pretty easy mathematical formula, 3 times as wide as your webbing, which basically means if your webbing is 1 inch, your fabric is 3. Okay, pretty simple. All right, so as you do that, you're going to have your piece of fabric. And once you have your piece of fabric, one of the things you want to start by doing is placing your Wonder Tape directly against one edge of your fabric. When you do that, you're going to be able to have that later on. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. The second thing you do is you're going to pick up your piece of strap and your fabric and you're going to sew them together. All right, so there's a little bit of a hack and a cheat on this. One of the things that I have trouble doing is keeping my fabric in place so that it doesn't smush around as I go about doing this project. And what I found is if I can just do a quick little stem stitch on this side of my piece, it'll just kind of temporarily hold it in place. So A, we want to talk about the stem stitch, and B, the way that I do that is with my blind hem foot. Yes, I said blind hem foot, your R foot, but it's not a blind hem. I know, we're going to do something special with it. So a stem stitch kind of looks like this. It's also called a lightning stitch because it kind of goes across and then diagonally back over, and then directly across and diagonally back over. And it's a pretty cool stitch to use if you need just a little bit of stretch with your fabric that you've chosen, but it's also cool for this purpose because it's kind of like the smallest zigzag that you can get, okay? So a stem stitch is going to be helpful here. And what you do is you're going to put your fabric right up against your strap. And by using the R foot, you have this guide along it, which is what you use when you're going to be putting your fold of your blind hem against it. But guess what? You can put the edge of your strap right up against there, and now you have this perfectly spaced stitch along the left side of your foot, your presser foot. So when you choose that stem stitch, and on this particular machine, it's number 6, but every machine is a little different. When you choose that stem stitch, you're going to want to move your needle over and your stitch over to the far left-hand position, okay? All right, so once you've done your stem stitch, you're going to then take your piece of fabric and you're going to now pull away your Wonder Tape, okay? So you're going to pull your Wonder Tape directly away from your fabric. So your Wonder Tape is a double-sided sticky piece that has paper on one side and adhesive on the other. So now that I've got that available to me, I'm going to take that piece of fold and bring it over so that it meets halfway on my fabric strip and webbing strip. So again, by having that little stickiness there, I can get that in position and it's temporarily holding it for me, okay? So you're going to fold that over halfway and press it down. Here is also where your wonder clips come into play, because once you get a part that you're happy with, you can temporarily hold it down and then smush and fold and stick a little bit more and then add a clip. Smush and fold and stick and add a clip. So now you've got your strap ready to take to your machine again, okay? So once you've done that, you're going to select a serpentine stitch. A serpentine stitch, literally, that's what it's called. It looks like a snake in the woods or grass or whatever. So it's just a bit of a wiggly back and forth and back and forth, a soft version of a zigzag. So your serpentine stitch, when you go to sew this down, obviously you put your J-foot back on, but you're aiming for the fold of your fabric to be directly in the center of your foot, so that the stitch forms on the right half of your fabric and on the left half of your fabric, thereby covering the fold and holding everything down for you. So the serpentine stitch gets that all kind of held together. Now for your final decorative finishing, you're going to want to add your triple stitch on one edge and the other. So what is a triple stitch? It's literally exactly that. It forms 3 lines on top of each other. So your stitch will form forward, backward, forward, forward, backward, forward, forward, backward, forward, okay? Now, they can't indicate that on the machine. So when you're looking at your machine, it looks like 3 lines that are side by side, but they actually stitch on top of one another. Okay, so once you've got that, you've got your R foot back on. And again, it is so cool to butt the edge of your fabric right up against that giant guardrail that the R foot comes with. Your triple stitch is automatically in the left needle position, but one thing I find helpful when doing top stitching, which is what we're going to do it for, is to lengthen your stitch length to a 3. That way it becomes a lot more decorative and the stitch can actually relax into your strap a little bit easier. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and lift the foot and spin it around and show y'all on this side. So I've got the edge of my fabric butt right up against that guardrail. And again, you want to make sure when you start to sew, you sew on fabric, not on air. So I've got my piece pushed right up against it. And I'm going to go ahead and start sewing. Let me speed that up just a little bit. So I can just push with my fingers up against it so that it helps hold the strap against that guard on the foot. I'll stop there. So now you've got that beautiful top stitching along your strap. And look how perfectly spaced away from the edge it is, because I used the guard on the foot to give me that perfect straight stitching along the way. Because trust me, I am not that perfect. So when it's finished, your strap is going to look like this. Okay, so you've got your top stitching on either side and your serpentine stitch down the middle. And it's super easy to do. And that's it. Now you have your awesome strap wrapped with your own fabric that exactly matches your project. And I hope this works for you and all your friends. Tell everybody about it. Like the video, please, and share it with everybody. Get the knowledge out there. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you get a chance. We sure would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.